Why don't we start with the one that's most recent probably imposed, which is the travel ban. What's going on with the travel ban in Canada?
Yeah, well, the travel ban had been announced and it was delayed slightly to allow for PCR testing. And now, just categorically, you have to be vaccinated. That discrimination against a vast segment of the population who cannot be vaccinated for a number of reasons is categorically unacceptable from a constitutional perspective in the Justice Center's view, and we will be challenging that. So the legal documents are being prepared, and I appreciate, the stress that you and your viewers would have when legal challenges are filed. Generally, when I'm talking to clients, I'm talking about legal challenges that take matters of years. By the time you get to one court level and off to the next, and so we're dealing here with obviously urgent issues, but in a number of these urgent matters, you actually have to get the evidence before the court and get a full hearing if you have any chance of success on these matters. We have not seen to date in Canada any real relief granted to individuals who press for immediate injunction. And so the sad reality is that these matters do need longer timeframes where expert evidence is brought in, where there's cross-examination and a more fulsome record before the court to hopefully challenge what unfortunately has become the dominant and misinformed narrative around COVID. I was looking at some data. It was an American Gallup study, but it showed people's understanding of COVID, 18, 19, 20 months out, wildly inaccurate, considering that if you're unvaccinated, you have a 50% risk of going to the hospital, for example, when that risk is, down around 1%. The idea that, people of all ages are at serious risk of COVID, and instead of recognizing that this is a challenge that's affecting a lot of elderly people in the vast majority of cases, the public is misinformed, and I think government actions are misinformed, and that misinformation needs to be countered in a court with strong and persuasive evidence, and a court needs to have the time to digest that evidence. And to date, we haven't seen courts actually get in and really digest the information that they're receiving. It seems to be knee-jerk reactions and deference to governments in the court cases that have been filed and processed to date.
You mentioned an interesting thing, and again, I want to get into the court cases when we come back from the commercial break in a few moments, but you mentioned this misinformation or this misunderstanding. You referenced a Gallup poll. And to me, my father survived communism and escaped that. And I recall that, when there's a narrative being continually repeated, people believe it. And, we hear this expression, there's a culture of fear. There's a lot of fear out there. And it sounds like many North Americans live in this fear, and it's kind of a self-perpetuating cycle.